Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the open forum discussion show, kind of like a call-in radio talk show. You know, every day in the afternoons on the John Campea Show, we talk about all the movie news, and we save a little bit of time for live questions. But here on Open Mic, that's all it is all live questions. And I'm looking forward to today for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons I'm excited about today is I got invited to a premiere tonight. Some of you may know, some of you may not have heard of this. There's this new little movie coming out called Terminal. And it's got Margot Robbie, Simon Pegg, Mike Myers, making his return to film. And I'm going to go to the premiere tonight in Hollywood. And I'm going to have a chance to get together and meet Margot Robbie later this afternoon and have a chat with her. So it's going to be a good day. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, on Thursday, I've got, well, first of all, it's going to be a great couple days. So I've got the Terminal premiere tonight. Tomorrow, I've got Erin Cummings, the actress I've been telling you about. You'll recognize her face from a number of things she's been in. But she's coming into studio here, and she's got an incredible story. Just her story is amazing. And I might be looking more forward to doing this interview than maybe any I've ever done. Obviously, Erin's not the biggest star I've ever interviewed, but I mean, just her story is so cool that I can't wait to share that with you guys. And anyway, so then the day after that, on Thursday, got the solo premiere, which I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a great week. I'm really excited about this week. But I'm also really excited just about today and doing some open mic stuff. So without any further ado, let's dive right into the live questions. And the first live question comes to us from Alexander Helmer, who writes, Ben Mendelsohn has been an active villain lately. Well, he's been an active kind of villainous character for a while, and there's something about him that is just so great. And he doesn't just play good villains. There's that one gambling movie that he was in with Ryan Reynolds. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but that was a solid little movie too. And of course, he was in Bloodline on the Netflix series. He was solid in that. Of course, he was great as in Rogue One as the villain there. Then we just saw him in Ready Player One as the villain. Now we've got him upcoming, in a couple of things. What else? The trailer just dropped for something he's a villain. That's right, Robin Hood's going to play the sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood. I don't think that movie looks all that good, but who knows, he might elevate it. Then, of course, he's going to be in Captain Marvel. I mean, Mendelsohn's busy right now. I mean, he's got a lot going on. So, and he does the role really well, so I'm pleased to see it. All right, let's move on here. Manuel Fernandez writes, hey, John. Hey, Manuel. Hope your week's been going well. It's going well so far. Who do you think gives better wisdom and advice on Twitter, Pope Francis or the Dalai Lama? I'll be honest with you, Manuel. I don't follow either of them on Twitter. To be frank with you, I follow like 30 people on Twitter. I mean, that's about it. So I do not follow either of them. So I would have no idea. I'm sure there's lots of great sage advice coming from both of them, but I honestly don't follow either of them. So I can't give an honest opinion on it. All right. Ryan Platts writes, Thanos is playable in Fortnite for a limited time. I know. I actually played Fortnite last night. Came in 7th, I think. No, I lied. 8th. Came in 8th. I suck at that game. I so suck at that game. Anyway, my main strategy is hide until somebody shoots me. That's pretty much the John Campea strategy of Fortnite. Hide on the outskirts of the storm until eventually this circle gets so small, somebody sees me and starts shooting at me, and I've never killed anybody. So there it is. I quite often, every time I'll get in the top 25, frequently I'll get in the top 10. I've never gotten higher than 6 though, because I suck. Anyway. But when I fired up, because I haven't played in a couple weeks, I fired it up last night. And because Corey came over and Anna and Corey were downstairs smoking hookah and playing some Game of Thrones Clue. Yes, you heard that right. They were playing Game of Thrones Clue. Anyway, so I came up, fired up Fortnite, played a little bit, and they were advertising the Thanos stuff all over the place. So yeah, I didn't see anybody as Thanos or anything like that, but that's because I mostly run and hide. But I'll be playing it again later today just to see if I can catch a glimpse of anybody as Thanos. Zombatron, 5678 writes, I love porgs. Chances we'll get one in episode 9. I think probably a pretty good chance. You're not the only one who loves porgs, by the way. My wife, Anne, crazy about porgs. Crazy about porgs. She has so much porg stuff around the house. It's crazy. And she even started an Instagram account called Porgstagram, where, I mean, she doesn't do it daily anymore, but for a couple months, every day she was doing new pictures of porgs. So she's got so many porgs, she would take them around Los Angeles and put them in poses and take shots of them around. So, I mean, she's big on porgs, man. She's really big on porgs. But anyway, yes, those have to have been the top selling stuff out of Star Wars The Last Jedi, was the porg merchandise. So I've got to believe they're going to have at least a couple of shots of porgs. I mean, there's no reason why not to, because I believe Chewie had a bunch of them on the Falcon at the end of Last Jedi. So it's not like they even have to go back to the island in order to put porgs in the movie. So I'm going to guess yes. At least a single cameo shot of some sort. I'm going to guess yes, we're going to get porgs in episode 9. All right. Daniel M. writes, poor Craptors never stood a chance against LeBron James. I mean, look, LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time. It's either him or Michael Jordan. I mean, nobody else is in the conversation. It's what LeBron James has done these playoffs is nothing short of Herculean. I mean, it's nothing short of Herculean. He's making himself look like an NBA player and everybody else in the league look like a first-year NCAA player. I mean that's just what he's doing. He's just so much better than everybody. It's crazy. It's nigh unfair. But yeah, no, look, the Raptors never stood a chance. They didn't. And which is really sad because they specifically put this team together, finished first place in the East, and they specifically put this team together to beat the Cavaliers. And they couldn't do it. They lost the last 2 games to the Cavaliers in the regular season, and then they lost 4 straight. They lost 6 games in a row to the Cavs. I mean, but what are you going to do? And you know what? The Cavs suck. That's the funniest thing about this. If you really want to understand just how good LeBron James is, understand this. The rest of that team sucks. I don't believe that Cleveland Cavalier team even gets in the playoffs. I don't believe they're even a playoff team. Without LeBron James, they're not even in the playoffs. I mean, that's just the difference that he makes. So anyway, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call them the Craptors. They did finish first in the East. That means any other team you like in the East, they're better than, other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. But, I mean, they ran into LeBron James playing LeBron James level basketball, so I don't know what else to do. Brad Timms writes, enjoyed The Last Jedi, but I can't help the feeling that Mark Hamill didn't get to play the version of Luke he was happy with one last time. It's completely not true. Everybody tries to take a bunch of his comments out of context and play you parts of interviews without playing you full interviews just to paint the narrative they want to paint. But look, all I keep telling everybody is this. I was there. I was there at the premiere of Star Wars The Last Jedi. And I was standing right beside Mark Hamill on a number of occasions throughout the evening. And I will tell you right now, he was thrilled. I don't know how else to say it except that he seemed thrilled. He was ecstatic all night. Everybody I saw him talking to, he was just like buzzing. He loves the movie. Now, I'll tell you this right now, though. He may feel the same way I do about something, and that's going into The Last Jedi. There was a number of things I wanted to see Luke Skywalker do. I wanted to see him just punk a whole bunch of fools. I wanted to see him kick major ass. I wanted to see him do all this kind of stuff, and they didn't give me that. But they gave me something I wasn't expecting that I maybe even ended up liking more. They just made it a very character piece. They made it like a study of a hero who even heroes can be broken, and then slowly put the pieces back together again. There was something about that I adored. And while Mark Hamill felt the same way I did, like when Mark Hamill first read the script, he was like, man, I don't know if I agree with this. But then he said, I'll trust Rian Johnson. You're the director. Let's do this. And then when he saw the final result, he loved it. I mean, that's all I can say about it. But I mean, look, even I, a supporter of The Last Jedi, somebody who really enjoyed The Last Jedi, will tell you, it wasn't the Luke Skywalker I was looking for. But sometimes the best things you get were the things you weren't looking for. And the thing I loved most about The Last Jedi was what they did with Luke, even though it was completely opposite of what I was hoping they would do. So anyway, there's that. Ben Rayner writes, do you think we'll hear anything about Spider-Man deal executions before or after Homecoming 2? Do I think we'll hear anything about Spider-Man deals before or after? You haven't left a lot of wiggle room. I mean, you just covered all time Yes, we will hear something about a Spider-Man deal either before or after Homecoming 2. That I can 100% guarantee without any shadow of a doubt. And if you're asking whether I think we'll hear news about the Spider-Man deal prior to Homecoming 2 or post Homecoming 2, I gotta believe, look, the deal or lack thereof will happen before Homecoming 2. Them announcing the deal or the end of the deal prior to Homecoming 2 is nil. If they decide to extend the deal, maybe they'll announce that before Homecoming 2. If they sign an extension on the current deal, maybe we will hear an announcement about that prior to Homecoming 2. If they decide to end the deal, like if Homecoming 2 is going to be the last film that Sony and Marvel do together with Spider-Man, then I very firmly believe we will not hear about that until after Homecoming 2 comes out. They'll keep that under wraps. So if next month Sony and Disney just realize, you know what, we can't come to terms, we're not going to extend this agreement, so Spider-Man's going to leave the MCU after Homecoming 2, and Sony's going to start making it on their own again, we will not hear an announcement about that until after Homecoming 2. Because that would affect, I think, people going out to see Homecoming 2, and they won't want to do that. So if they extend the deal, we may hear about it before Homecoming 2. If they decide to end the deal, we're not going to hear about it before Homecoming 2. That'll definitely come afterwards. All right, let's move on here. Nicholas Green writes, Cobra Kai is awesome. Watched all 10 episodes now. Great character development, a must-watch for sure. All right, guys. I'll tell you what, I watched the first 2 episodes last night. You guys told me, so many of you guys told me, watch it. So after I played some Fortnite and after Ann and Kaori played some Game of Thrones Clue, the 3 of us decided to sit down and watch Cobra Kai. I thought it was terrible. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought it was terrible. I mean, look, it was really cool to see Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence on screen together again. I love the concept of it. It's a great idea, especially focusing it on Cobra Kai. I thought that was a tremendous idea. I really did. I think it's a great idea. And there were certainly moments really cool watching the 2 of them on screen together. But I mean, the show makes it sound like they've never spoken to each other since that tournament, but they live in the same community, basically. I found it weird that they never spoke to each other after that, but whatever, fine. It was really cool seeing them on screen together. But I'll be honest with you. I thought it was poorly acted. I thought the acting was bad. I thought it was more cheesy than nostalgic. Honestly, I found it to be a little lame. I know all you guys are screaming at me through your monitors right now. I was excited to watch it because so many of you guys told me it was so good. And I watched it and I'm like, really? This is what everybody's now? I don't know. Maybe it gets better after episode 2. I know Anne liked it. I don't think she loved it, but she liked it. And I think she wants to watch episode 3. So I'll probably watch episode 3 and 4 because maybe it picks up after that. But you know me, I'm always just going to be honest with you guys, whether it's what you want to hear, whether it's what you don't want to hear me say. All I can ever do is be honest with my opinion. And as much as I would love to hop on board the whole Cobra Kai train, I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't that impressed. And if it wasn't for the fact that Anne wanted to watch another episode, I probably wouldn't even watch episode 3. But that's where I'm at right now, 2 episodes in. So I'll just have to wait and see. I'm glad you loved it, Nicholas, and you're not alone. I see online a lot of people really like it, which is great. I'm super happy a lot of people like it. I wish I was one of you. That's kind of all I can say. Murray for us writes, what's up, Pittsburgh? Yeah, the Penguins got eliminated last night. And you know what? Good for the Capitals. And good for Ovechkin. Because that dude is one of the best players ever to not make it deep into the playoffs. One of the greatest hockey players of all time to never make it deep in the playoffs. It's about damn time. So good for them. I'm happy for the Capitals. Obviously, I was cheering for the Penguins, but hey, can't get greedy. They've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. something nobody has done in a long time. So good on the Pittsburgh Penguins. They had a great season. I'm super happy about the season, but also at the same time, I feel really good for the Washington Capitals. They deserve it. They needed to get this monkey off their back. They have been just destroyed by the Penguins historically. So I felt good for them. I did. Disappointed Penguins lost, but I had a smile on my face. Felt good for the Capitals and for Ovechkin. He deserves it. All right. Nicholas Glenn writes, what's your thoughts on Iron Eagle? I know why you're bringing that up because Iron Eagle is played in Cobra Kai. Anyway, what's your thoughts on Iron Eagle? It's one of my favorite 80s movies. Why do we not get more fighter jet movies like Iron Eagle, Top Gun, or Flight of the Intruder nowadays? Well, I think because people just kind of got tired of it. Also, as far as Iron Eagle goes, Iron Eagle represents one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had watching a movie. And it's not the first one. I watched the first Iron Eagle with Lou Gossett Jr., right? And I like the movie. It's a poor man's Top Gun, but it's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I like Iron Eagle. However, I remember when Iron Eagle 2 came out, and like this first movie is all about this kid and the heroics of the kid, and it's all the kid. It turns out Lou Gossett Jr. is the bigger actor. So what do? Let's do Iron Eagle 2 and kill the kid in the first 5 minutes. It was one of the most frustrating things. And I love Lou Gossett Jr., but I just didn't end up liking anything about Iron Eagle 2. That Iron Eagle 2 was lame. And I think part of it is, there's only so many stories you can tell about fighter jet piloting, right? And there's not a lot, the way today there's not a lot of air-to-air combat going on the way the world is today, the way the militaries are today. Not a whole hell of a lot of air-to-air combat going on. So you have, and I think there's also this other little thing that people are nervous. Look, Top Gun is so iconic. If you make a fighter jet movie, it's just instantly going to be compared to Top Gun. Or be called a Top Gun ripoff, probably. So I think those are a couple reasons why we haven't seen it. But look, there's talks of another Top Gun coming with Tom Cruise. Let's see if that actually happens. They're saying it's going to happen. I have my doubts, but let's see if it does. All right. Hold on a second. Took a jump here. Okay, here we go. HV39000 writes, my local theater is a Marcus. Never heard of the chain, honestly. Great theater. On Tuesdays, it's $5 movies, free small popcorn, and $2 bag of candy. This is a deal common or rare in North America. Wife and I see a movie almost every Tuesday. I have never seen anybody do that deal. Dude, never move. If you got a theater close to you that gives you $5 movies and they give you free popcorn and $2 bags of candy, dude, the small popcorn is the cost of a $5 movie ticket alone. It's like you're going to the movies for free. I would highly recommend, I've never heard of this theater chain, but I would highly encourage you, my friend, never move away from it. That is a great deal. I have certainly never seen, like AMC, I think they do like a $5 Tuesdays for AMC stub members, but I certainly don't think you get a free popcorn with that and discounted candy or anything like that. I've never heard of a deal like that. That's fantastic. Never move. Never move. Because that sounds like a great deal. And yeah, like I said, I've never even heard of this theater chain, so thanks for putting them on my radar. Let's see. Manuel Fernandez writes, what are your thoughts on a 2014's Noah? I thought it was a creative blending of science and religion together. I don't get why so many people hate it. Well, here's the thing. More people liked Noah than I thought they would. And it's actually not a bad little movie, to be honest with you. The performances are quite good. It's an interesting way they decided to approach it. But at the same time, it's not a perfect movie. I get why there are people who don't like it. Most movies that I really enjoy, I can see why other people wouldn't like it, and I can certainly see that with Noah. There's also a small fraction of people who are so anti-religious that anything that has to do with it, that has any kind of theme of religion in it, they're just going to reject it anyway. So, hey, yeah, that's fine. To each their own. So there's part of that. There's a bunch of different reasons. But look, I actually found that, like I said, I thought more people enjoyed it than I expected. And I enjoyed it more than I expected to. So, yeah, it was a very creative approach, I thought. Okay, next one. Jay Bling writes. Bling? Yes, Bling writes. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is my favorite sitcom, and it's such a bummer it might get canceled after this season. All the actors are great, and the show always feels like it's barely scratching the surface. I'm going to be honest with you, Jay. First of all, I love Lonely Island, right? So when you see who's leading the show, I'm like, okay, I'm in. Sandberg has a really great sense of comedy. He is. And I like a lot of the cast in it. It was a show that didn't work for me. I've tried watching 3, 4, maybe 5 episodes in total. And for whatever reason, it just never clicked with me. And there are a lot, I mean, it's won awards. Brooklyn Nine-Nine has won awards. I know a number of people who really like it. I know a few people who really don't, but you're definitely not alone in loving it. But just for whatever reason, I watched it and it just didn't trigger with me. It just didn't click with me. Not sure why. Didn't hate it. Didn't hate the show, not at all. But it just never was enough to make me want to, okay, I got to tune in again. It just didn't do it for me. And I don't know why, because like I said, I love the cast, especially Sandberg. You got Terry Crews in there. It's just, and it's kind of a, one size fits all premise. A cop comedy show. Been doing those for a century, right? Easy enough, good people involved. It's something you'd think I would like, but it just never clicked with me. I don't know why. And yeah, it may get canceled. I saw that it's on the chopping block, but it's not dead yet, so keep your fingers crossed. Timothy Platt writes, John, it happened. After 20 brutal years, a DC team has made a conference final, and by beating Pittsburgh, no less. Is this real life or someone using the reality stone on me? Let's go, Caps. Yeah, man, like I said, I was clearly cheering for the Penguins. My boy Sidney Crosby's on that team. Evgeny Malkin. I mean, it's a great team. I love that team. I was really hoping we'd see the first three-peat for a long time. But you know what? At the end of the day, I just got to smile for the Capitals. I got to smile for them. They finally got that monkey off their back. I don't know that they can win the Stanley Cup, but it's really great seeing them get deep into the playoffs. Ovechkin deserves it. Washington deserves it. I'm happy for them. I really am. I'm glad for you guys. Let's see. Hans Gruber writes, Hey, John, here's today's tongue twister challenge. Say Mr. Mitzelplix fast 3 times, the Superman villain. I don't think I can. Mr. Mitzelplix, Mr. Mitzel... Nope, can't do it. Can't even get through twice. That is a tongue tire for one. David Obenauer writes, John, you are making You're making us cousin humpers look bad. Well, to all the cousin humpers out there, you kind of deserve it. But thanks for the note, David. I appreciate it. Big Four Dam and Alfie Gamer writes, Hey, John, A Quiet Place, an absolute gem. I'm glad you had a chance to see it. I mean, look, I've simply run out of ways on this show to talk about A Quiet Place. I've simply run out of words to talk about how great that movie is. It may be still, even after Infinity War, Quiet Place might still be my favorite movie of the year. I need to think about that more, so don't hold me to that by any stretch of the imagination. But I think if I was really hard pressed right now and I had to give an answer as what is your favorite movie of 2018 so far, I might have to go with A Quiet Place. There are some great movies out already this year, whether you're talking Ready Player One, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, but I think A Quiet Place might top them all for me. It is such a masterfully put together movie. It's such a beautifully constructed film, like delicately directed with something that could be very just bombastic, yet it's very delicately directed, beautifully performed. It's such a special movie. I just cannot, and I just can't emphasize enough how much you need to see this movie if you have not seen it. It is brilliant filmmaking. Absolutely brilliant filmmaking. Check it out, man. It's an absolute gem. James Bonner writes, Hey, John, finally got to see Molly's Game. Great movie. I'm glad you saw it. It was a highly underappreciated film from last year. I thought it should have been nominated for Best Picture. Now granted, I am a little biased because I'm a poker guy, so sure, but I thought that was first of all, it's Sorkin who wrote the script, so clearly it's going to be awesome. I'm a sucker for true stories. I'm a sucker for poker, and the fact that it was his first film directing, he didn't just write the script, he also directed it. And Jessica Chastain, oh my God, Jessica Chastain. I mean, come on, I just thought it was great, so I'm glad you saw it and glad you had a chance to like it. Mike Zambrano writes, you have to try Galaxy Theaters, better than Prime. Oh, I highly doubt that. But I haven't tried a Galaxy Theater, so I can't say that definitively. Since I've never heard anybody else say that, Mike, I have a hard time believing it. But I don't know that I have a Galaxy Theater anywhere near me. I don't think we have a Galaxy Theater anywhere close to Burbank. I've never looked. I'll look into it, but I don't recall seeing any. But I don't think that's a chain near us. But I am suspecting you have not tried a Prime Theater with Dolby. Because if you did, that's a bold claim for you to make, sir. That's a bold claim. Again, I haven't been to a Galaxy thing, so I can't answer that definitively. But I'm just saying that's a bold statement to make. Let's see. Murray for us. Salacious Crumb, a Star Wars story. I mean, why not? You're going back in time with all the other characters. Anyway, you know what? I'll be honest. I'm surprised they haven't done more with that character. I don't know how you would have, or where you would have put him, all that kind of stuff, but there's something about that little rat-faced dude that is just, I will always think of him when I think of Return of the Jedi. I do not know why, but I always think of him when I'll think of Return of the Jedi. All right, next one comes to us from Alden Haspel, who writes, IMAX advertisers, I think you mean advertises. IMAX advertises that you see more of the picture in their theater. Is this an actual thing or just a gimmick? 90% of the time, it's just a gimmick. When something is shot in IMAX, it is a different aspect ratio. Now, for those of you who don't know what an aspect ratio is, it's like 2:1 is an aspect ratio. The standard aspect ratio of most computer monitors, most home televisions, most, not all, is 16:9. That's the aspect ratio. The old television format used to be more boxy. It was 4:3. So a little bit wider than tall, but more boxy than traditional, the more widescreen, which is 16:9. Most movie theater screens, I can't remember the actual number, what the actual movie theater screen is. It's a wider aspect ratio, though. IMAX is a different aspect ratio than most average movies. And when shot in IMAX, that means to fit that footage onto a traditional movie screen, some of the image is being cropped out. So that's what they mean by that. But it's only applicable when something is shot in IMAX. If something's not shot in IMAX, you're not getting more of the picture. If something is shot in IMAX, which is rare, then yes, it's an actual statement. But it's a qualifier statement. Like, you have to put a qualifier with that because generally speaking, it's not true. Under specific circumstances, it is. So it's not really deceptive. It's not just entirely honest either at the same time. Okay, Kevin Brown writes, I'm terribly surprised you're not a fan of The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, honestly, I find the show kind of lame. Amazing show. You need to binge the first 2 seasons. Promise you'll get... Why? Okay, first of all, Kevin, if I already know I don't like it, why would I... You said binge the first 2 seasons. You're talking about me investing like 20 hours. Why should I invest 20 hours of my life into that if I already don't suspect I like it? And why do I need to get through 20 hours of something to start appreciating it? And I'm not bagging on you for liking it, not at all. I have lots of friends who like it, totally do. But this thing, you got to binge the first 2 seasons. Why would I invest 20 hours of my time to do that? I mean, if a show doesn't grab me in the first few episodes, it doesn't deserve to have me keep watching. It's just that simple. But anyway, let me finish reading your email. I'm terribly surprised you're not a fan of Big Bang Theory. Amazing show. You need to binge the first 2 seasons. I promise you'll get into it. All the Star Wars and comics references jokes are pure gold. See, here's the problem I have with it, Kevin, and not everybody else shares this problem, but here's the problem I have with it. I find, like, the number of episodes I've seen, and again, they probably total less than I can count on one hand, but the episodes I've watched, the impression I got was that it's supposed to be a show that targets the geek culture and nerd crowd, right? But I cannot escape the feeling it is not written by geek culture or nerd crowd people. I watch that show and I feel like that was a Star Wars joke written by somebody who doesn't really get Star Wars. Seriously, that's what I get. That was a Dungeons and Dragons reference by somebody who does not understand Dungeons and Dragons. That was a Lord of the Rings gag, clearly written by somebody who doesn't fully understand or fully appreciate Lord of the Rings. Like, that's just the feeling I get. I feel, and I could be dead wrong about this. All I'm telling you is the impression I had, just my feeling. I just felt like It's like this. It's like a show for women being written by men. That's what I feel like, right? It's a show for the geek nerd culture written by people who aren't truly in the geek and nerd culture. And they're just kind of pandering a little bit. And I could be dead wrong about that, but that's how it struck me. And all art strikes us differently, right? For a lot of people, Big Bang Theory is one of the highest rated shows on TV. Obviously, it works for a lot of people. And that's great. So I'll never crap talk the show. All I can say is that I gave it a shot, and it to me, it felt disingenuous. And it felt a little fake. And when that happens, it just kind of turns me off a little bit. So I celebrate that you love it and that a lot of people love it. And go Big Bang Theory, go. That's awesome. But I can't lie and pretend to be cool and say, oh yeah, I love that show too, when I don't. Again, it just to me, it felt a little disingenuous, and it may not even be disingenuous, but that's how it struck me, and therefore kind of turned me off. And I certainly am not going to invest 20 hours of my life in the hopes of maybe I'll end up liking something. So I love that you love it. I celebrate that you love it. I'm not going to try to dissuade you from loving it. But I tried it, and it didn't work for me. So, there you go. Geo writes, watched Firefly. Damn, Joss and his trademark dialogue. I'm telling you, man, that was the big... First of all, what Joss Whedon set up with Firefly, that universe he set up was amazing. You could have done a huge cinematic universe with the universe that Joss Whedon set up. Or a cinematic verse. It'd be the Firefly, so FCV. Instead of SCU, Firefly Cinematic Universe, the Firefly Cinematic Verse. There you go, the verse. Firefly is awesome. And its movie, Serenity, one of the most underrated sci-fi films of the past 20 years. Serenity is brilliant. The real brilliant thing about Serenity is that you never even had to watch a single episode of Firefly to be able to jump on board with that movie and totally be caught up to speed with everything that's going on. You definitely have a deeper appreciation for Serenity if you saw Firefly. But I'm telling you, I've watched Serenity with people who've never watched an episode of Firefly, and they love it. And then obviously they went back and watched all the Firefly episodes. What Joss Whedon did with that Serenity Firefly universe was incredible. The universe was great. Then he created these amazing characters, just incredible characters that we all still remember. And Jane is one of the best kind of side characters out of any TV show anywhere. I loved Jane. And of course, completely crowned off with the Joss Whedon dialogue. And it was all based on the premise Whedon set up and the dialogue he wrote. And it was awesome. I miss Firefly. I would love to see a Serenity 2, none of which is going to happen. But I remember I was at Comic-Con a couple years ago, and they did like this big anniversary reunion panel where they had like the vast majority of the showrunners and the cast of Serenity just talking about Serenity. It was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. Anyway, thank you for bringing up Firefly. We don't talk about Firefly enough. Aniruddha Gupta writes, what do you think of Disney's only tentpole policy? Disney does not have an only tentpole policy. Whether you're looking at Finest Hours, or whether you're looking at $1 Million Arm, or whether you're looking at Queen of Katwe. I mean, these are just in the last couple of years. Disney has no tentpole only policy. They make a number every year. They make some sort of smaller artistic kind of film that usually people ignore, and I don't know why. Like Queen of Katwe, which I believe came out in 2016 with Lupita Nyong'o and David Oyelowo. That movie is awesome. It's the kind of movie that reminds you about why you love the movies. And it's this little film based on a true story. Again, the based on true story movies really get me. It's this little film based on a true story. It is so, and there's no villain. There's no bad guy in it. The antagonist is the environment. You know, this young girl growing up in apartheid, I believe it was apartheid era, South Africa, I believe. But anyway, or I can't remember which country they were in at the time. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it. It's amazing. So no, Disney does not have a tentpole only policy. It's just that everybody ignores these great little films that they put out, and people ignore them. And I don't know why, because they put out like these, some of their best movies every year are their smaller, little, more artsy projects, are some of the best films they put out every year. And you just keep your eye open for them. Let's see. Alan Gonzalez writes, if you had all the MCU movies on Blu-ray, how would you sort them? By better to worse, by chronological order? Well, I mean, first of all, I don't buy Blu-rays. I'm a digital guy. I get all my, I buy all my movies on digital stream. But were I to have them, what order would I put them in? That's an interesting question. You know, I would probably order them by release chronology. So I would probably put, you know, Hulk first, or Iron Man, Hulk, First Avenger. You know, I put them out, or Iron Man 2, First Avenger, whichever order. I can't remember off the top of my head the order they came out. I would probably put them in order of the order they were released in. So that's probably how I would structure it. Not by favorite to worst, because then I'd be changing it up all the time. I'd be swapping it in and out constantly. Okay, let's see. Next one comes to us from Warren Lucas, who writes, Caps versus Pens was a great series. Playoff hockey at its best. Go Caps. Over under 70%. Avengers 4 will break Infinity War's opening weekend record. I'll take under 40%. Not only will I take under 70, I'll take under 40. There's going to be a little bit of Infinity War was the big event. And now Avengers 4 is the follow-up. And I think Avengers 4 is going to be massive. It's going to be huge, but I do not think it's going to beat Avengers 3 record. Now, I mean, who knows? We have to get closer to the movie, get a sense of the buzz, see the first trailer, all that kind of stuff. So I could change my mind on that later on. My initial feeling is probably less. It's probably my initial feeling. So I'll definitely take under 70%. By far, I'll take under 70%. Alan Gonzalez writes, when do you think we will get the name for Avengers 4? Well, you know, we might get it sooner than we thought. We might get it sooner than anticipated because I believe I heard Kevin Feige say that the Avengers 4 title isn't going to be some big, huge thing. It's going to be a name. That being the case, we may get it sooner than we thought. I thought maybe after it comes out on home video and all that kind of stuff, but maybe sooner than that. So I'm going to guess that by September, we will probably have a name for Avengers 4. But look, bottom line is this, and you guys have heard me say this before. Who cares? Title's the title. Doesn't mean anything. The only reason we got excited about Infinity War was just because, that gave us a glimpse of, that just kind of gave us a hint at what the movie's about. Who cares what the title was called? Avengers Infinity War could have been called Oogie Poogie Eat Some Pies, and it wouldn't have changed one iota how good the movie was. Wouldn't have changed a thing. So, I mean, ultimately, I don't really care what the title of Avengers 4 is. It's going to be Avengers 4. I don't care what the actual title is. I'm just looking forward to the movie. So anyway, that's just my thing. But I do think we're going to get it by September. Caleb Bradford writes, John, I don't like the argument, no one asked for Solo. Maybe you didn't, and a chunk of people on the internet didn't, but that doesn't mean no one did. Well, Caleb, as I've explained 100 times, obviously that's hyperbole. Like when you say, man, everybody loved that movie. Obviously not everybody loved that movie, whatever that movie is. Obviously not everybody did. There are going to be people who didn't like it. Or you say, oh man, nobody likes that movie. Well, obviously that's not true. Obviously there are some people who like the movie. You're speaking, in general terms using hyperbole. With Solo, yeah, nobody was asking for that movie. Obviously there were some people who were like, but for the most part, especially when you consider there was this whole movement. I mean, I remember at first when they were talking about it, everybody saying, if it's not Harrison Ford, it's not my Han Solo. So, I mean, there was a hell of a lot of people that felt that way. Even well-meaning people felt that way. So, yeah, I feel comfortable saying, look, nobody was asking for this movie in the sense that, generally speaking, most people would not have picked, the next Star Wars movie I want to see, a Harrison Ford-less Han Solo movie. A Han Solo movie without Harrison Ford, that's what I want to see. You didn't have many people on the planet checking off that box. So, obviously, there were some people who did. But just again, it's just using, it's just a terminology tactic, right? It's just like when you say everybody loves this, clearly not everybody loves it. Everybody loves porgs, clearly not everybody loves porgs. I mean, it's just general speaking when I say that. I shouldn't have to qualify everything I say. So if I say, man, people love this, well, not everybody loves this, clearly, but I mean, it's just hyperbole. That's all I mean by that. Okay, tacky. Oh no, I skipped again. Hold a second. La 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 la. There we go. Okay, Tacky writes, your opinion about the original X-Files. Not as big of a fan as most people were. To be honest, I probably watched about 4 or 5 seasons. But yeah, you know what's funny? I think I liked the first X-Files movie more than I liked the series. But I mean, I liked the series. I did. I just wasn't like a huge X-head like a lot of people were. But I enjoyed the series. Yeah, I liked it. But it's not my top 10 favorite TV series of all time, but I liked it. Chris Warden writes, thanks for suggesting cinema. For a guy like me who goes to the movies 2 or 3 times a year, this saves me hundreds of dollars a year. I'm not quite sure what we're talking about. Like, thank you for suggesting that you go to the movies. And if you only go to the movies 2 or 3 times a year, how would go? I'm a little bit lost, Chris. I'll be honest with you. I'm not quite sure what it is we're talking about. I apologize. I'm just not clear on what it is we're talking about. So sorry about that, Chris. Gerardo Riaz writes, hey, John, still love your show. Well, thank you so much. I'm still glad you watch. But back to my question. Did you ever imagine Infinity War surpassing Star Wars? By the way, I loved it. I think I always knew it was possible, but I thought it was highly unlikely. And not because of anything else other than forget the name Star Wars, forget the name Avengers. The number was 248. 248 million was the opening weekend record. That alone, forget that the name Star Wars was attached to it, forget that the name Avengers was attached to the other one, forget the names. Just the number, 248, made it seem extremely unlikely, at least until, ticket prices go up even more. It made it feel extremely unlikely that that number could be beaten. And it did. Like, I always knew it was possible, sure, but I thought it was very unlikely. Then in the week leading up to the movie opening, then I said, yeah, I do think it's going to beat it. But I mean, for years before that, or at least a year before that, I said, no, I thought it was highly unlikely. I did. And it wasn't until like a few days before the movie came out and you really sensed the buzz and you really saw the big full court press advertising campaign that I went, yeah, I think maybe it can. And it did, just barely, like by 2%, but it did. It beat it. And that's great. I still don't know if it's going to beat its worldwide total. It's still very well made. I'd probably still put $5 on that in May, but it's going to run into some trouble once Deadpool and Solo hit theaters. And it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, it's a tremendous success for a tremendous movie, and I'm super happy for its success. Let's see. Eric Flynn writes, going to blow your mind. I have yet to watch Godfather, Alien films, E.T., Episode 4 of Star Wars, Citizen Kane, Shawshank, and more. Which should be my top priority? Well, you're not alone. I mean, these are all older movies. And if you're not a cinema head, then you probably haven't watched a lot of these. I would say start with Shawshank. It's a more contemporary movie in the fact that it's less than 40 years old. It's a more contemporary movie and one of the I believe, top 10 best films ever made. And it's got faces in it you'll recognize with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. So you're going to recognize faces in it. It's the good starting point. Then once you watch Shawshank and weep with joy for how great that movie is, then I'd go on to The Godfathers 1 and 2, then probably Aliens, and then you'll be on a roll. But I would say if you're somebody who's in a position like you were in, start with a nice gateway movie, and I believe that's Shawshank Redemption. Faces you'll recognize, names that you know, and it is one of the 10 best films ever made. So I'd say start with that one and then move on from there. Let's see. Tahir Patel writes, John, I have a desk job where I can listen to music / videos, and your show bails me out of boredom of boredom every day. Thanks, and keep up the good work. Oh, that's so great to hear. Thank you so much, and thanks. And I'm honored that you let me spend the workday with you there while you're doing it. So thank you so much. I appreciate that, man, and I'm glad you're here. All right. Thomas Kellner writes, hey, John, I saw Infinity War my third time in Dolby Atmos cinema. Wow. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's if you have an AMC Prime Dolby Atmos near you, try to get out and see Infinity War on that screen and in that theater and in that environment. It will be your best experience with it. I mean, again, it's my favorite. I prefer it over IMAX, and I don't even work for AMC anymore, so they're not paying me to say it. AMC cheap bastards even took away my free movie AMC card when I left. I remember when I was leaving AMC, I still had a really good relationship, like with one of the chief guys, like the chief financial officer, the CFO of the company, or I should say chief marketing officer of the company. Still had a good relationship with him. And I remember asking, when I was leaving, I was talking to him a few weeks after I had submitted my resignation letter. I was still there. I had a few more days left, and I got him. So Steve, you think I can keep my AMC card? You think I can keep that, for old time's sake? And he's like, no. So, yeah, I really regret that. So cheap bastards, AMC. Anyway, even though I don't work for AMC anymore, the AMC Prime is by far my favorite movie-going experience. It is. And I highly recommend people go there and check out a movie at least once. So I'm glad you had that opportunity, Thomas. All right. Oh, my gosh, the time has flown. Okay, so we just got about 12 minutes left here. All right, Tracy E. writes, my theater is also a Marcus. Oh, see, I've never even heard of it. Now I've got a couple people saying they got Marcus theaters. My theater is also a Marcus theater. I do the $6 movie on Saturday mornings. The big screen bistro is also awesome. So I'm guessing they've got some kind of a lounge in there called the big screen bistro. Saturday matinees for $6. See, our matinee price where I live is like $11. It's that's the matinee. Like just a regular 2D, regular Thursday night screening is like $15. And if I go into the Prime Theater, it's like $22 to $25. It's nuts. So good on you for, again, don't move, Tracy. Don't move. Eric Flynn writes, also, without seeing those, I can be... Okay, I get it. Also, without seeing those, can I still be called a film fan, or am I shunned until I get through? Oh, no, absolutely, you're a film fan. Do you like film? Then you're a film fan. There might be some snobby assholes who go out there and goes, oh, if you haven't watched this, then you're not really a film fan. Fuck you. If you like watching films, you have fun watching films, you're a film fan. Like maybe you don't call yourself a hardcore cinemaphile or something. Maybe not, but guess what? If you like sitting down and watching movies, you're a film fan. Don't let any pretentious asshole tell you otherwise. Anyway. So, yes, let's keep going here. Next one comes to us from Tochi Victor, who writes, or Tashi Victor writes, has there ever been a TV character that ruined a show for you? Dr. Smith ruined Lost in Space for me. I never, if you're talking about the new Netflix one, yeah, I mean, and look, I love Parker Posey. I talked about this in my review. I did a season 1 review of Lost in Space. And generally speaking, I quite like the show. I did, but the Parker Posey character, Dr. Smith, very nearly ruined that show for me. And it's not Parker Posey's fault. I think Parker Posey was performing exactly the way it was written in the script. But here's my big thing about the Dr. Smith character in Lost in Space is this. And I mentioned this in the review as well, is that it felt like all the other characters in the show were in one show. And Parker Posey's character was a villain character in a Will Ferrell comedy. So it felt like all the characters were in one kind of reality, and then Parker Posey's character, Dr. Smith, was a villain character plucked out of a Will Smith comedy. And it felt so jarring to me every time she was on screen, and every time they did her flashbacks, it just felt so out of pace and out of step with the rest of the show that I found it very jarring. And yeah, it nearly ruined the show for me. It didn't. I like the rest of it enough that I still enjoy Lost in Space. I like it. I'm looking forward to season 2. But I do hope they improve upon that, because that character very nearly ruined it for me. Now, outside of Lost in Space, I can't think of any off the top of my head where one character pretty much ruined the movie for me. Maybe if I think about it longer, I can come up with something. But off the top of my head, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, so I'll just say no for now. But that Lost in Space example very nearly did it for me. So you and I are on the same page with that, Toshi. All right, next one comes to us from Aruban Gamer writes, Jurassic World is opening, but by the looks of the trailer, it seems they are retreading familiar grounds. What could bring back the same magic from '93? Well, look, the first Jurassic World was retreading familiar ground. And yet, it broke the opening weekend box office record at the time. It went on to become one of the highest grossing movies of all time with $1.6 billion. That's like $300 million more than Black Panther did. And yet it was just retreading familiar ground. There's an island. We've recreated dinosaurs. We made an attraction. Oh no, something's gone wrong. And now the dinosaurs are running amok. That's standard operating procedure for a Jurassic Park movie. So Jurassic World retreaded on familiar ground. And so will Jurassic World Part 2. It's like, oh, look, we got these dinosaurs that we created, but we're going to bring them into the modern world. Nothing can go wrong. Oh, no, something goes wrong. I mean, that's it. Now, the question is, can they make that well? Can they make it fun and exciting? And can they make it funny and edge of your seat? Can they capture all that? It's not the premise that's going to capture or ruin it. It's going to be, how do they execute it, right? That's what it's going to come down to. The hesitation I have about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is that the trailers don't suggest to me that they've captured it. The trailers don't make me feel excited for this. Now, granted, the trailers for Jurassic World, the first one, didn't capture me either. And it went on to break an opening weekend box office record. Okay, great. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't think the problem is treading on, already walked upon paths, because that's what all of these films are. They're all the same thing. The question is, do they do one well? And they've done some really well. They've done a couple really badly. Will this one be one of the better ones? That's the question, and we'll find out soon enough. All right, next one comes to us from ZOMG Ruler, if I can find him. Where did he go? ZOMG Ruler writes, thoughts on Chasing Amy, my favorite movie ever. One of the best Kevin Smith films ever. I think with a lot of people in Hollywood, that's the film that really put him on a lot of people's radars. Yeah, I did this Clerks thing, but it was Chasing Amy it was ahead of its time as well. It really was. It was ahead of its time. It's thoughtful. It's irreverent. It's funny. It's also it makes you stop and think for a minute. And it kind of represents all the things that Kevin Smith can do really well. And while it is not in my top 10 favorite films of all time, it's definitely in my top 2 or 3 of my favorite Kevin Smith films of all time. And it's a wonderful film. If you haven't seen Chasing Amy, check out Chasing Amy. It's just a type of film. And if you're somebody who has seen a number of Kevin Smith films, but you haven't seen Chasing Amy, check it out. It's distinctly Kevin Smith, but it's very different from a lot of the films he's ever done at the same time. So if you get a chance, go check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it. I really do love the movie. Let's see. Thomas Kellner writes, Brisbane, Australia, keep bringing the filthy. Thank you so much, man. I've had opportunities to go and visit Australia a number of times. A couple of things turned me off. Number one, like the 16-hour flight. I don't like flying, so that's hard for me to do. And that apparently is an expensive place to vacation. Also, just getting any vacation time is also tough. But someday, man, I'm going to visit Australia. Someday. All right. Andrew Oldham writes, what is the most disturbing on-screen character death for you in any movie? For me, it's always been Alex, the little boy eaten by the shark in Jaws. Oh. Anything that involves a child dying is brutal. I mean, yeah, anything that involves a child dying is always brutal. Let's see. Man, I'll tell you what. there was a character death. And I know this isn't a movie. No, you didn't say movie. You said on screen. I'll tell you what. There was a character death in Sons of Anarchy. Now, I'm going to describe it in such a way that people who have seen Sons of Anarchy will know what I'm talking about, and people who have not seen Sons of Anarchy, it won't spoil anything, okay? It involves the sink and the scissors. Now, okay, so now you guys know what I'm talking about. That scene was, I like, shocking, and it was tragic, especially if you really understood the true circumstances around it, which the characters themselves did not fully understand the circumstances surrounding it, which added to the tragedy of it. It was unexpected. It's like, you think Game of Thrones like kills off characters you know and love. Oh my God, Sons of Anarchy. It was unexpected. It was climactic. It was powerful. It was shocking. It was disturbing. It was like, oh my God. And it was just, I remember just being floored. And again, for those of you who have seen Sons of Anarchy, you know exactly the one I'm talking about. And it was just all that wrapped into one, made for an incredibly disturbing death. And yeah, anyway, yeah, there you go. I can't go into too much deeper than that. But oh my God, that is one that really stands out to me, Andrew. All right, let's move on here. Just time for a couple more quick ones here. Warren Lucas writes, stronger cinematic universe, Marvel or Oogie Poogie? Remember, Oogie Poogie is in the MCU. It was very nearly in Infinity War. So you got to go Oogie Poogie, I think, without question, Warren. Chris Warden writes, my bad, I meant Cinemia. Oh, I get it when you write. Okay. My bad, I meant Cinemia, not cinema. It's great and saves me hundreds of dollars a year. Well, yes, but I think you also mentioned, Chris, you only go to 2 to 3 movies a year. If you meant 2 to 3 movies a month, then yes, Cinemia, it will save you hundreds of dollars a year. It is a great program and a much more financially stable program than MoviePass's deal is. Because MoviePass is going to go out of business way before Cinemia does, because their business model is not sustainable. Cinemia's business model is sustainable. And I just think, the ability to buy your tickets online in advance, be able to go see a movie in a premium theater like a Prime or a 4DX or an IMAX. I mean, all that is just the advantages. So I prefer Cinemia. I still carry my MoviePass card, but I prefer Cinemia. Thanks for clarifying that, Chris. Appreciate that. Gerardo Riaz writes, I live in Las Vegas. Love Las Vegas. And we do have Galaxy luxury theaters. Oh, that's right. I remember seeing that. They have recliners with food trays, Dolby Atmos, dual laser projection with assigned seating. They also sell beer. I never go anywhere else. I'll have to check that out because I know they've got an AMC in Las Vegas. I have not seen one of the Galaxy theaters there, but you know what? I go to Vegas like 7 times a year. My next visit, I am going to look for a Galaxy theater. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see what all the hubbub's about that you're talking about, Gerardo. Thank you for sharing that. You've put another theater on my radar. Thank you very much. Let's see. And we will end things off today with Clock Penalty. And Clock Penalty writes, Captain Marvel to seize the title of top heroine from Wonder Woman. MCU brand superior to character legacy. See Iron Man B-list bigger than Superman with casuals. I don't know. Look, Wonder Woman's Wonder Woman. You're never going to replace Wonder Woman. And Iron Man is nowhere close to Superman. He's just not. And in my opinion, I'm in the minority. Man of Steel is a better movie than Iron Man. The first one. Man of Steel is better than Iron Man. I mean, I don't know. It all depends. Look, the fact of the matter is, the one thing that Captain Marvel cannot capitalize on is the first female-led superhero movie of the modern comic book movie age. They can't claim that because Wonder Woman did it. And Wonder Woman did it well. So, and Wonder Woman clocked over 800 million at the box office, which I think makes it the second biggest box office movie of the DCU, just next to Batman versus Superman, I think. Or it might be the number one, I can't remember. So I don't know, it's going to be close. But even if it makes more money, I don't think she replaces Wonder Woman as the top female hero. Not at all. Not at all. Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is by far the most iconic and important female superhero of all time. Never going to be replaced. Never is too long of a time, but not going to be replaced in the next 20 years. It's Wonder Woman. Now, maybe Captain Marvel, because of the strength of the MCU, maybe Captain Marvel makes more money than Wonder Woman did, but that doesn't suddenly automatically means, oh, Captain Marvel now replaces Wonder Woman as the top female heroine. No. Wonder Woman will always be the biggest, most important, most significant female superhero of all time. So I don't see that happening. All right, guys, that will do it for me. We're right on 1 hour on the nose. That will do it for me for today's installment of Open Mic. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Hey, listen, going to let you know. Here's an announcement. We've been talking about starting this thing called Movie Club, where every week I'm going to tell you guys a movie to make sure you get caught up on, because on Sunday, we're going to do a video that all we're doing is open, spoilery and everything, just talking about that movie, questions we have about the movies, observations we made about the movies, things we loved about that movie, things we didn't like about that movie. And I hope you're going to. I'm going to announce what movie that's going to be tomorrow. I'll make the announcement, but I can tell you right now that Movie Club is going to be this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 7 p.m. East Coast time. So 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this Sunday, we will be doing our first kind of get together of Movie Club. I'm going to announce what the movie's going to be tomorrow right here on Open Mic. I will announce what movie it's going to be. So make sure you join for that. And of course, guys, don't forget, mark it down, set your alarm clock. 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today is, of course, our main show, the John Campea Show. Make sure you come back and join us for that. All right, guys, that'll do it for me for today's installment of Open Mic. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.